Hello, everyone. I'm very pleased to join you today. And just as part of it's our custom here in Canada, and I know many other places, I'd like to make a quick land acknowledgement that I'm speaking to you today from the Anishinaabe Algonquin territory, unceded territory, otherwise known as Ottawa in Canada. And I've got a short presentation here, a couple of slides that I wanted to share with you, just to help illustrate what I wanted to talk to you about today. But I'm getting a message that only host can share. So I might have to do this without slides, but that's okay. It is a pleasure to be here today on for us, an important day, because yesterday our board of directors approved a piece of work that has been 2 years in the making, focused on introducing equity, diversity, and inclusion and respectful workplaces into our Towards Sustainable Mining standard. And there may be a few of you out there that don't know what TSM is. So just very quickly to explain that, TSM is...
Hang on just a second.
Hello? Okay, I'll carry on. So TSM is a mining standard that we introduced to Canadian mining in 2004. It was the first of its kind at the time, focused on mine site level environmental and social performance, overseen by a multi-stakeholder community of interest panel with independent verification. So in 2004, when we launched it, we were the only people doing that. Today, it's more common with other standards doing the same. In 2015, we started sharing it internationally. We signed a partnership with the Mining Association in Finland to become our first international partner. It's now in place in 13 countries on 6 continents, being implemented by over 200 companies. And one of the unique things about TSM is that it's the multi-stakeholder oversight. I mentioned our COI panel a minute ago. Comes from a network of national-based multi-interest panels that include Indigenous people, organized labor, environmental groups, social and faith-based organizations, affected mining communities, and each association that implements TSM on behalf of their members is responsible for establishing one of these panels in their own country to oversee the implementation of TSM. So it brings the oversight level down to a very close level to where the impacts are actually happening. And over the years, it's grown. It started with a focus on tailings and climate change, crisis management and Indigenous and community engagement, and now it covers 9 issues. And as I mentioned at the start of this, the most recent edition happened yesterday when our board finished what had been a 2-year project to develop a new standard on equity, diversity, and inclusion. There are 3 indicators in this standard. The first is focused on measuring corporate commitment and strategy around equity, diversity, and inclusion, making sure that the corporate office, all the way up to the board, is setting the right tone and including measurable actions and plans to implement these elements and incorporate them into every aspect of the business. And then we get down to the facility level. So there is another indicator focused on advancing equity, diversity, inclusion at the facility level. So each facility needs to assign responsibilities, develop policies and procedures that address not just the hiring and human resources, but really encompass all aspects right across the operation to embed EDI into it. And then there's a third indicator focused on monitoring and reporting and performance measurement, to track key performance indicators on how we are doing throughout the sites, throughout the companies, and then that rolls up into allow us to track performance across the industry. One of the features, I would say, sort of the hallmark features of this new standard, is that it's very much focused on worker engagement. So it's not at every level, at the corporate level, at the site level. It's not simply management deciding how to do these. It places a very strong emphasis on engagement with a diverse range of workers to help structure all aspects of this, of the implementation of this. And it's also another aspect of this project has not just been to focus on equity, diversity, inclusion, but also to embed respectful workplaces into the standards. So we modified our safety and health protocol, which is another piece that has been part of TSM for a very long time, to shift it from sort of traditional physical safety to incorporate psychological safety and respectful workplaces. So we added a new indicator focused on this. The safety protocol itself has typically focused on establishing management commitments and accountabilities, a traditional health and safety management system, an indicator focused on training, behavior, and culture, another one on monitoring and reporting, and then another one on performance. And so what we've done with this new piece of work is to incorporate the idea of the requirements around physical safety or psychological safety and respectful behavior into the accountability and commitment, into the management system, into the training and efforts to establish a strong culture of behavior around safety, and into the monitoring and reporting. But we've also added a new indicator specifically focused on psychological safety and respectful behavior. There's many different requirements in this, but a few key pieces are to make sure that your risk assessments that you would typically do in a traditional physical safety sense are extended to all of your work facilities, including camps, to make sure that they are assessed for risks around bullying, physical violence, sexual violence, and any of the aspects that you might think of that would address or that would risk psychological safety, and build plans to address those, and then measure the progress to addressing those. There's also a new incident process that is really, I think the term that was used in it is a trauma-informed dispute resolution or incident resolution process that sits beside the physical sort of traditional investigative processes, and recognizes that when you have these kinds of incidences, whether they be bullying or harassment or sexual violence, that there's a different kind of process that is needed to address those and support the victims and make sure that the behaviors are addressed appropriately. So we're very proud of this work. It was our most comprehensive process to date in terms of developing a process. We had the support of many chapters of Women in Mining. Barbara had a chance to have a review and give us some helpful comments. We had good support from Women in Mining in Central America, Women in Mining in Brazil, Women in Mining in Canada, and others, just to name a few. Had the help of many experts in this too. And I know that myself, Catherine Goslin, who held the pen on most of this for us, and others, learned an enormous amount on this journey. And we're really excited to see how this can drive performance. We're inspired by the progress that BHP has made around gender equity in their workforce. It was sort of showed us that if you are able to put a plan together and measure the progress, you can make meaningful change in a relatively short amount of time. And we're hoping that by taking the inspiration from the work that BHP and others have done, and building it into a standard that's implemented across the industry, we'll see quick progress in terms of equity, diversity, inclusion across the workforce, across the industry, in a measurable way in the coming years. So we're very excited about that. And I just really appreciate the opportunity that you've all given me to share at a very high level. There's a lot more detail that I could go into with more time. We are expecting to make an announcement, hopefully next week, formally around publishing this. And we will be looking to work with our other TSM partners to incorporate this into their versions of TSM in the coming months as well. Thank you so much for the opportunity to share with you today, and I'll yield the floor back.